Maggie and Thomas asked me to come and speak here about a week ago, even though my name had been on the bill 2 weeks ago. So it's a bit crazy. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I have a company called Bandit9, and a lot of people ask me, a motorcycle company? Are you fucking nuts? It's quite a hefty task to start a motorcycle company and take on the big guys. So what I wanted to talk to you about was how to take on a war you can't win, basically. Yeah. But before we get moving, I just wanted to talk a little bit about myself and where I come from. That's me. When I was 19 years old, I was an advertising art director at TBWA Chiat Bay in Los Angeles, where I was working on PlayStation, Nissan, dog food, and things like that. So that's me, 19, very hopeful. After 10 years of being in the advertising industry, well, let me talk about the good things first. It's just one of the few industries where you can tap into design, photography, film, and things like that. Skill sets that are incredibly valuable later on in your life. After 10 years of it, I moved up the ladder. And unfortunately, advertising just, became the devil, actually. There's a lot of creatives out there with huge potential, massive talent, but their work just never sees the light of day. Are my advertising students here? One of them. Good. Sorry, where are you? But it's a really difficult job, you put yourself out there. Oh, there he is. That's okay. You put yourself out there with your crazy ideas. You work, 20 hours a day sometimes. I think my record was 48 in a row, and everything just gets chopped down and killed because of crazy client requests. So I felt like the potential was going to waste. So in 2011, I had the idea of starting a motorcycle company. And I've always loved motorcycles. My very first one was a Honda Cub, which, yes. And I love that machine. It's so simple, it's so beautiful. I think it was made back in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it came out in the 50s.
Yeah, it came out in the 50s. It's the most popular motorcycle. Nobody knows that. And I just really loved it. I used to take my girlfriend out for midnight rides and things like that. And it was just a beautiful machine. I had a real connection. So that's when I fell in love with motorcycles, starting with the Honda Cub. But in 2011, I was in Beijing. We had incredible competition out there, at least in the motorcycle industry. So this is a motorcycle by Deus, who have a company in Australia, Bali, Los Angeles. You have something called the Wrench Monkeys, who are from Denmark. And from Spain, you have something called El Solitario. Yeah, and I basically noticed some issues with these three companies, and they were kind of producing the same stuff, and that's kind of blasphemy for those who are in this industry, but I just noticed that they always have the same kind of tank, the same kind of seats, and the same colors almost. So I had a real issue with that when I had this idea of starting a Bandit9. Another problem with Bandit9 was we were in China. So yeah, you can have some tasty Obama fried chicken. The only place in the world that serves Obama fried chicken. So it was a really volatile market. China had, at the time especially, a really bad reputation. It's where, well, they still do. It's where fake products are born. It's where all your fake DVDs come from. And we had an issue with this, made in China. That's just about the worst label you can possibly have. Nobody wants that. And so that's kind of the stuff. What's that?
Vietnam.
Made in Vietnam? I don't know. We'll talk about that later. So that's what we were facing. It was definitely an uphill battle. And you can have the most thorough business plan, brilliant strategy, flawless execution, but before you even get there, this is kind of what you need. A big pair of brass balls, you know, to take on the big guys and think that you can actually win. So here we are, a bunch of nobodies, saying that there's something wrong with the industry. We're completely unproven, untested. We haven't made a single machine, yet we decided to declare war on Deus, Wrench Monkeys, and Solitario, and Honda. You know, so that was kind of crazy. And another thing that you need is just stupidity, you know? Stupidity to actually follow through with it. And, you know, the courage to take the red pill. Do you understand that reference for people that I know? Yeah, so you really need the courage and the faith to take the red pill. Go down that rabbit hole and see where it takes you. You know, free yourself, actually, from that comfortable position where you get lots of money, but it's still a prison. And that's what you call a dead-end job. So that's where I was at the time. And so, you know, eventually I took the red pill and started Bandit9. The name comes from pirates and bandits, obviously. You know, they're really independent creatures. And if you think about it, they're the guys that fill in the blank edges of the map. Yeah, so that's where that name comes from, you know? And they're scrappy little beings, but from scrappiness, you know, it gives birth to innovation. It's a necessity. You have to innovate, or you're gonna perish out there. Yeah, and I just wanted to show you something that looks like this. This is a friend of mine from Switzerland who was visiting us in Beijing. And that's actually where all the parts come from. Looks like a graveyard of motorcycles, yeah? But what comes out of that is something else. And so I'll show you the first one that we made. To be honest, this is probably the most awful design I've ever seen in my life. This is ours, okay? This is a Bandit9 motorcycle, and I'm not afraid to say it's a piece of shit. The photography is probably the best thing about this bike. You know, it's just chaos. But the important thing is that you really need to start somewhere, yeah? And you need the balls to put yourself out there, the stupidity to follow through, you know? Even though you don't know what you're doing, and you know that. And the faith to know that everything is going to be okay. So as the months, the years rolled on, we started building other machines as well. So this one is called Magnus. Basically, this is crazy. There's no paint on this thing. What we did was we burnt the entire motorcycle, and that's how you get that pebble look, that thing that makes it look like stone. There's a lot of different things about it, but I won't go through that. Regarding the photography, it's actually, you know, the same location. We just turned the camera right around. You can ask my girlfriend, who's my lighting assistant at the time. She's just carrying a big flash, running around like crazy, trying to get the shot right. But that's what I mean by scrappiness. This was literally our parking lot downstairs, which looked awful. But you need to be able to adapt and, hey, what's up? To adapt and grow that way. This is what I meant by scrappiness. It's hard to see right now, but there are details on the tank. You can see what that pebble finish really looks like. And this is actually the gas cap, which we made out of a crankshaft and ball bearing. So it's a bit weird, and it's a bit unique itself. And this bike is called the Nero. Okay, and this is what put us on the map, actually. If you notice, it's actually the same parking lot that we used, so we only had one location, which was downstairs. And that's what it looks like from the side. It's actually the same fucking location, just shot a little bit differently. And that's what I meant by your skill sets come back, yeah, with your experiences. So I picked up a lot of photography techniques when we were doing Nissan cars and things like that. This is actually made up of, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of different shots. You know, so we took a shot of the left wheel, because we didn't have the equipment. Yeah, we took a shot at the left wheel, we took a shot at just the fork, we took a shot at just the top of the tank, the engine, so everything was pieced together by hundreds and hundreds of shots. Yeah? And so with this bike, like I said, it put us on the map. Yeah, and it's actually, I don't know if you guys follow Pipeburn and Bike XF, but they're the leading blog or site for custom motorcycles. And every year they rank the best custom motorcycles. And in 2011, you know, we were just really small. It was only about a year old, and it was just our third build, and it comes from China. But we got second place out of all the world, I guess, in 2012. So it was massive. And moving forward, we started playing around with different engines and things like that. This is called the Atlas. You know, we finally changed location. This is based off a Yamaha Dragstar, and this is a 1200cc engine. And the guy that bought this is actually the design director for Porsche. Yeah, so that's the kind of clientele we have, and that's me driving it out on the streets. And if you guys ever upgrade to a motorcycle, you'll like it. This, by popular demand, I guess, we built the Nero Mark II. This is everything that it's a manifestation of everything that we've learned so far. So it's a lot sleeker, it's a lot cleaner than the first one, it's a lot slimmer as well. And yeah, and the buyers of this as well were CEOs. The first one to buy this was the Ferrari design director this time, who's friends with the Porsche design director. So we have an interesting clientele. And this is actually the last motorcycle we built in China before coming down to Saigon. And yeah, you know, what's funny about this is people criticized me for this motorcycle. You know, they were actually criticizing my shoes instead of the bike. You know, why is he fucking wearing Toms instead of like motorcycle boots? And why is he wearing a sweater instead of a leather jacket? Somebody even said, this is fake. You know, this is 3D. Actually, it's not, obviously. They thought I just photoshopped myself in there, which is kind of crazy. And the way we shot this was I had a friend of mine sticking his head out a cab and taking photos. So that's how we got this shot. Yeah. And so what I wanted to talk to you about was our approach, okay? Because having pretty pictures and beautiful products, it isn't enough to win the war. You need an inspirational story, and you need a great story. You know, what is the meaning behind what you make? Why do you do it? What's the story behind your product, and how is it made? You know, why should people follow you? These are the questions that you need to answer if you want to make a really cool brand, you know? And I just wanted to tell you about what I call the Batman theorem. Yeah, we're a big fan of Batman, obviously. And everybody knows the story of how Batman came to be. Yeah. If you watch Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan spends at least 45 minutes talking about Bruce Wayne, just to get you invested into his story so that you give a shit, about Bruce Wayne. And the reason he does that is he wants to show you how Batman turns his weaknesses into his strengths. Yeah? Because it's how you deal with your weakness that can be just as engaging as your superhero power. Yeah, it's what makes you you. It's not the fact that Spider-Man does this. It's because he's a geek, yeah, that becomes something greater. It's because this guy came from, well, not nothing, but this horrible, horrible experience turned him into Batman. And so we took that analogy and we brought it to life in us, yeah. So we did just that. We said, fuck yeah, we're from China, you know. We could have avoided the topic altogether. We could have taken another angle with it. But what we did was we made made in China cool instead, yeah. So that is what the place looks like. We shot this out in the streets of Beijing, maybe really close to midnight, you know, and it's a city full of life. We just tried to give China this epic feel, like it already has. And what's really cool is a lot of the press started catching on to us, you know. So we're on Discovery Channel and things like that, where they say Bandit9 turns that made in China stereotype right on its head. We were in GQ twice, actually, and maybe a third time in June. So they saw what the potential was in China. And we were even in Playboy as well. Yeah. And what I wanted to say about that is we didn't want to play with the other boys. Yeah. Everybody, like Deus, Ranch Monkeys, and things like that, would always play in the motorcycle industry, blogs, press section. But what we wanted to do was play somewhere else. We wanted to be in art, we wanted to be in design, we wanted to be in fashion, we wanted to be in gossip. Yeah, because we felt like that was an untapped marketplace to be in. And it kind of works because they talk amongst themselves and you get bigger and faster that way. So I just wanted to show you this. We were on the cover of Iron Air magazine as well. And do you guys know Iron and Air? No? Okay, good. Iron and Air is a motorcycle magazine from New York, and they're probably the biggest one right now, and they're quite new, okay? And we were on their very first issue, actually, so we made the front cover of Iron and Air, and they hung it up on their walls. But what this text says in the left side is they talk about how we basically inspired them to take on the big guys as well, like Pipeburn and Bike Exif, yeah? And how our story inspired them from extreme, what do you call it? Adversity? Is that the right word? Yeah? Into something great. And so we inspired them to take on sides with us, and they've been helping us out ever since. And moving forward, you know, if you haven't looked behind you, this is what we call the Eve, and it's our first motorcycle here in Saigon. You know, Saigon is incredible. It's really a center for creativity and entrepreneurship. Yeah, and you know, working in this cafe, well, it's the fucking center of the center. You know, with designers, coders, illustrators, craftsmen. Just look around you and see what kind of talent there are. There's chocolate guys here, which is incredible. You know, congratulations, guys. You know, yeah, we're fucking small, you know, but that doesn't stop us from being great. Yeah. And so just to wrap things up, you know, really declare war on the bigger guys, and don't be afraid to do that. You know, it isn't a fair fight, so don't fight fair. There are opponents that are much larger than you guys. You know, grab the closest thing and like, use it as a weapon. You know, don't be afraid to point out their flaws. Don't be afraid to challenge them. And turn your weaknesses into your strengths. Yeah, like I said, the Batman theorem. Don't be afraid of your weaknesses, because you know, if you let it, it'll freeze you. Or it can be your greatest source of strength, actually. And of course, inspire others with your story. Give people a reason to follow you. You know, inspire them. Sorry. And lastly, you know, you need a big pair of brass balls to start a company, the stupidity to follow through with it, and of course, take the red pill. Yeah, because I promise you, you won't regret it if you really work hard at it. You know, it's a war worth fighting. And yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys. Yeah, sure. The prototype is always the toughest part. We've changed our technique, I guess. In China, all the designs were up here. Yeah, so I would go to the garage and basically just do my thing from there. And the thing with the prototype is, it's always the first one. It's always the shittiest one. So what we do is, with the next few, is we try to improve it. We always keep the prototype a little bit closer to us so that we can always alter it as well. Sorry, did I have a mechanical background? No. You know, I just knew what I was doing, I guess, in terms of design and things like that. Like I said, I noticed a lot of flaws with the motorcycles I saw out there, the custom bikes. I felt like it was repeating itself constantly. and I guess I had a different kind of idea or a different kind of vision for the future. So it just really started with me. And what I really wanted to do was actually free up my time. Yeah, so I tried to design the business so I don't have to be at the garage all the time. You know, so it doesn't become a job to me, and that it continuously becomes, I guess, a work of passion, you know, that just makes money. So that's how we started. Yeah.
How many sales have you had?
I have no idea. Actually, in Saigon, everything is the last bikes out there is sold out. Yeah, so we've got bikes going to the United States, in LA, Boston. We've got one going to Canada. We've got one going to London. We've got one going to Belgium. We've got two going to Abu Dhabi. And yeah, that's how we're doing so far, at least in Saigon. The previous one, at least the Nero Mark II, is quite hot. The problem is it takes forever to build one because they're all handmade. And it's just an incredible beast. Yeah. Go ahead.
The Nero Mark II is still being made in Beijing.
Yeah, so it's while I'm here.
How do you manage the long-distance relationship with the builders?
With the builders? I do the quality checks via, what do you call this, email and things like that. I mean, I trust my guys in Beijing to do their thing. They know how fucking picky I am, and you can ask my girlfriend, I yell at them all the time. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I get really angry when, sorry, I shouldn't say that either. You know, I'm really picky with the details. No, you have no idea. No, really, I'm like a stickler for the details, I guess. And the guys in Beijing know what they're doing now, you know, after all that time. The thing is, we don't have an engineering background, so we don't touch the engine, we don't bore it out to improve the cc's or horsepower or anything like that. I'm afraid to do that because it's unsafe. And the thing is, 750 cc's packs a punch already. Yeah, so there's no need to try and escalate it to 1,000 cc's with the same engine. Yeah, and some guys really appreciate the originality of the engine, I guess. And they're classic engines. They're military motorcycles. Oh shit, sorry. They're military motorcycles. So, yeah, I'm not really comfortable, you know, tinkering with the horsepower and things like that.
We talked a lot about Diaz and Ranch Monkeys. How about guys like Zero Engineering or, you know, crazy Japanese guy?
Yeah, they're amazing. Zero Engineering is started by Shinya. You know Shinya?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Shinya Kimura, he's this fantastic motorcycle artist, is what I would call him. Yeah, I think they've kind of lost their way a little bit without Shinya, you know, because before that Zero configuration is just something else. But it's still a beautiful bike. It's fucking expensive. I think they're at least $50,000 each, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. Did I answer your question? Or
Yeah.
Oh, Shinya's amazing. Zero Engineering is still amazing. Have you tried one? I've sat on one in China before, and it's just, you know, I feel like Batman. So I've got a guy, fantastic mechanic, brilliant engineer, and I trust him to do his thing. You know, you cannot win the war, I guess, by yourself. You know what I mean? So so you really need help. So I trust him to take care of the mechanical end. Yeah, I mean, of course I will check every now and then, but I don't want to be there micromanaging the guy. But I will take care of the storytelling. I mean, that's what I do. That's my background, and that's what I do best. You know what I mean? The thing with the story is, you know, it actually helps you out more than the product.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because you're, like, at least what we're doing is we're selling a crazy, almost fantasy, you know? They have kind of like a superhero-esque quality to them, and they just want to sit on that fucking thing and drive around with it, you know? And that's what we do. I mean, we shoot the products in a certain way. We're also sticklers about that. But the story is quite powerful, in my opinion. You know, you might have a fantastic product, but without a great story, I don't know. I don't think it'll last long. You know, it's what makes it timeless.
How do you create something?
Okay, how do I create something? What's the meaning of life? How do I create? What's that? How do I create something from zero?
Yep.
That is a fucking loaded question. I tell you what, I'm on my second design already for Saigon, okay? And the creation process is, I don't know. It's difficult, to be honest with you. I get bored really fast. You know what I
It's
mean?
like the powerful motivation.
It is. No, I get bored really quickly. I mean, I'll design something on paper or on Photoshop or whatever it is, and then I look at it the next day and I just scrap it. You know, it takes a lot of time to develop something interesting that will last for a while. And of course, simplicity will do that. But it's a difficult process. I mean, that motorcycle, believe it or not, was inspired from a door handle, like a ridiculous door handle that was in her apartment. That was from stainless steel as well. So yeah, I guess that's where I get my inspiration from, door handles, you know, and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, and I'm not really sure how to answer you. What inspired me to get out of advertising?
Yes.
I'll show you the slide in case you didn't see it. No, I mean, it's just, I wasn't happy, if that makes sense to you. You know, I'm sorry, man, I know you're from advertising and shit like that. So I feel a little bit guilty putting this up there. But really, this is what inspired me to get out. You know, I was not happy. I wasn't looking after my health. You know, I was fighting with my girlfriend constantly. You know, I didn't have any free time, you know, and I just needed to get out and pursue the thing that I actually did love, you know. And I think the key thing about it was it's important to have savings. You know what I mean? It makes it a lot easier to get out of your job and take that risk. Yeah, because if you don't have much, you know, it's difficult to make that leap. So,
Especially when you're taking on the bigger guys, right?
exactly. Yeah, and coming from China as well, it felt awful, but we did it anyway. You know.
Sweet. Thanks, Daryl, for that.
No worries.